the atrocities done in slavery have been whitewashed. Let's talk. Look at this. Bounty. $200 a dozen for nigger ears. We need to know how much $200 was back in that time compared to now. So $200 in 1950, $200 in 1950 is now worth $2,000, almost $3,000 now. So $200 in 1950, if we were to scroll down to now, is almost $3,000. So if this was in 1950, they were offering almost $3,000 for 12 nigga ears. If this was in 1960, $200 would have been worth $249. Meaning this 200, if it started there, would be 200, which we can do here. And we can change this to 1960. So if we change it from 1960, $200 was worth $2,000, which we can see here, $2,000. But this was more than likely in the 50s or 40s. So if we go back even to 1940 for $200, that was almost $5,000 in 1940. Now that we see that based on inflation, $200 back in that time frame was a lot of money. So they were putting out bounties just for black people's ears. Large bounties that people who were in need of money, that people who were in need of anything would absolutely do. Think about it in the Great Depression time period. In the Great Depression time period, when people were starving, where people were doing egregious things or anything and everything to feed their family, who wouldn't hunt down black people? Not to kill them, just to cut their ears off for $200 back then. $200 could feed someone's family for a month. See, these are things that people don't talk about because they've been whitewashed. These are things that people don't talk about because they glorify slavery. They just say, oh, well, these colonizers, these racist white people, these white supremacists, there were things that even they wouldn't do now. Come on now. They just put black people in chains and made them work in the fields, and that's just it. No, absolutely not. There were things done to black people that will never be exposed, that will never be put on Front Street, that will never be highlit, because it's the shame of America. To put that on Front Street, this is no longer, you cannot look at this place as the shining light on a hill. No. $200 for nigger ears. what do you think they were doing with the ears? They were eating them. They were selling them to other people. They were jarring them. They were putting them in jars. They were pickling them and selling them as food. They were making jewelry out of these things. So there was people who were broke, who were poor, people who had no sense of humanity when it came to black people, who were hunting down black people and cutting their ears off. There was no law that was going to lock up a white man for cutting off the ears of a black man. None. And even if you had it on video, which there was none at that time, but even if you did, they would get a slap on the wrist, community service or something like that. And if somebody, some white person, was to go and corroborate the stories of the black person and take the stand, they would be looked at as nigger lovers. They would be ostracized from the community. So nobody, no people who were in charge or in power would do anything. Which is why we say black people cannot be racist, because they're not in a position of power. It's a whole other conversation. But $200 for nigger ears. You just don't understand. You don't understand how deep this picture is. This is the crack of the surface. The crack of the surface. Scratching the surface of what atrocities were done. If you have 100% control over someone's life, then you do whatever you want to do. That word want is vast, because today you may not want to do something that tomorrow you may. Today you may not want to cut one ear off of one of your slaves who you control their lives 100%. Tomorrow you may. Today you may not want to cut the lips off of your slaves. Tomorrow you may. Today you may not want to cut the nigger nose off of your slaves. Tomorrow you may. And all of that was within the whim, the will, the thought process of the slave master, of the colonizer, of the white supremacist, of these people on your screen. They had full control over anybody black around them. Full control. And if they felt like cutting your ears off today, then they would cut your ears off. If they felt like leaving you alive after they cut your ears off, then they would leave you alive. Your life belonged to any white person that seen you. Your life did not belong to you. And people don't understand the gravity of that statement, because anything within your life belonged to them, to include your life. It did not belong to you. You had no peace. You had no community. There was nothing you could do at any time. Fighting back was a death sentence. If they felt like cutting your hair off, they cut your hair off. If they felt like cutting your ears off, they cut your ears off. If they felt like taking your eyes, they take your eyes. If they felt like cutting your nose off, they take your nose. If they felt like cutting your lips off, they take your lips. If they wanted to cut your arm off or any piece of it, any limb, they take it. They would just cut it off. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. You are at the mercy of the people who controlled your life. The only difference between then and now is the control of your life has been more backdoored. Now they make jail systems that control your life. Once they get you in the jail system, then they control your life. Now they make things like affirmative action to control your life. And affirmative action does control your life. They think that they're giving you a position because you're a person of color, so we need to hire a people of color. But the reality of it is they're not giving you the education to make you competitive with these people, which then makes the people that you're around who have a better education than you, and makes the people that you are around resent you, which controls your life. And there are some people, that some black people that get better educations, or just an education in general, and they're just as smart, they're just as powerful, just as strong mentally as anybody around them. And that's what affirmative action was literally made to do, to ensure that people with the same skill set get a fair shake at the same job. However, that's not what it was morphed into. The same thing as Black Lives Matter and everything else. They were all morphed into different things. Because if you kept them as what they should have been, raw on their face, then it would have gave people color an equal chance. And that is the last thing that they want to do, is to give people of color an equal chance. So therefore, they not integrate, but they jump in it. They interfere, they sabotage. Same thing with Black Panthers and everything else. They try to jump in and integrate with that organization, to sabotage it, to taint it, to blend cream to it. That's the whole point, to ensure that there is nothing equal, to ensure that there's always a supremacy factor in everything. Because once I integrate Black Lives Matter, once I integrate the Black Panthers, once I integrate anything that is pure black, once I integrate it, I degrade it. Pure black is degraded when blended with cream. It is no longer pure black. It is now creamy. It is now integrated, blended, mixed. So therefore, it's not pure. You don't blend a diamond with something and call it a pure diamond. You don't blend gold with stuff and call it pure gold. No, you don't call it. You call it percentages of gold, because it's not pure no more. This is not a racial thing, it's a factual thing. Even pure white is the absence of everything. Pure white has absolutely no color. You have to do some serious work to get pure white. You take everything out of it. Pure white is bland. You take everything away from it. Everything. You take everything and then take everything away from it, and you get pure white. Pure white equals nothing. Pure white equals the absence of everything. Pure black equals the inclusion of everything. These savages who were buying nigger ears for $200 a dozen were devoid of everything. Physically, mentally, spiritually, devoid of everything. These savages that you see on the screen are the reason why Noah was supposed to wipe the earth clean, because of these savages. These things were the reasons on why fire and brimstone was supposed to be rained down on Sodom and Gomorrah. if you guys believe in the Bible and things of that nature. These are the savages. These people are the ones that were supposed to be wiped off the face of the earth. These things they're not harmonized with earth at all. But $200 for a dozen of nigger ears was roughly $2,000 to $3,000 in today's market for an endless supply of nigger ears. An endless supply. There was thousands upon millions of black people that lived in the South during this time. And every last one of them had 2 ears. So putting this bounty on those people, I promise you, there was never, ever a shortage of nigger ears. Never. These people hunted down black people, cut their ears off, jarred them, and brought them to these people to buy, to be pickled and eaten and sold. And this is just scratching the surface. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe. Please share. Please like and comment. There will be more.